Hey, it's John and Mike, brew-news.com, and today we're talking about functional mushroom coffee. No, I'm totally kidding. We're talking about beer. Thank goodness. This is a clone recipe. I happened to be in Braintree, Massachusetts, and sat down in a restaurant, and they had this particular brew on the menu. The name of the brewery is Widowmaker, the Widowmaker Brewing Company, or just Widowmaker Brewing, and this is their Blue Comet IPA, or just Blue Comet Ale, I think. In any case, I liked it a whole bunch, and I looked it up, and it didn't really have a lot of information about the beer. It just gave me a few things, and I will take you through that if I can just get to the proper webpage. But you could probably look it up yourself. The situation really is that it comes in with 2 hops. It just says, you know, packed with Simcoe and Comet hops. And I think to myself, really, that seems odd, because I've brewed smash ales with both Comet and or Simcoe, and they did not present themselves this way. So took a little bit of knowledge about brewing New England style IPAs and put it to good use, and this is what I came up with. So I don't have any more information except for big, ripe, tropical nose, soft biscuit malt character, hazy yellow with a medium white head, and that's what I tried to do. Here we go. The grain bill is 11 pounds or 5 kilograms of Briess Pilsner malt. It's 79% of the grain bill. 2.5 pounds of flaked wheat. That's 1.1 kilograms, 18% of the grain bill, and 0.5 pounds of carapils. You know, that's 3% of the grain bill. Anyway, that is the Mike warranted, patented New England IPA grain bill, just based on one of the last NE IPAs that he made. For hops, I started off at 60 minutes in the boil, just a half ounce, 14 grams of Comet hops. Didn't want to go Simcoe here, went with Comet. And then Whirlpool additions. Here we go.
Yes.
3 ounces or 85 grams of Simcoe. And that was, I think, at like 13.3% alpha acids. And then 3 ounces of Comet, also 85 grams, and that about 9% alpha acid. The Whirlpool, I actually waited until I got the temp down to 185 degrees Fahrenheit and let it sit for 20 minutes.
Classic.
Okay. And then fermented with Cosmic Punch Ale, yes, from Omega Yeast, the OYL 402 yeast. And we'll talk about that because it took off very quickly. So at day 3 of fermentation, and day 3, even though I brewed this on a Sunday, day 3 was Tuesday because fermentation started on a Sunday. I'd say like within 6 hours of me pitching, there was like pretty visible fermentation happening, and we'll talk about that. Original gravity on this beer was 1068. Final gravity was 1014 for an apparent ABV of 7.1%, which is what their website says the alcohol by volume is. Now, let's talk about Cosmic Punch Ale. I used this because I thought to myself, again, Comet and Simcoe, not particularly fruity, but I was like blown away by the beer. This came to me, I think that I think I ordered this in September. I think the manufacture date is August of last year. And sadly, like a month after I purchased it, it's swole. Got all swollen in my fridge. So I said to myself, well, that's unfortunate. We're going to have to make a starter. So I made a 1-liter starter, and you can see a picture of that. And you'll see that it took off pretty quickly, so I was happy to see that.
That's amazing.
Because I was like, okay, this yeast is probably done. Let's see what happens. But it was very active and very great. And then, when I fermented, again, it kicked off very quickly. And then by day 2, I had the yeast foam like just pushing off the top glass wide mouth fermenter, which wasn't like a total like, you know, out of control onto the ceiling kind of blowover. It was more of like, you know, slow, you know, blob kind of. At least that's what I saw the next morning.
Yeah.
I'm guessing like overnight it just kind of popped open, and like it was messy, but not as messy as I've encountered. A little bit of towel, it dried up pretty well. But enough talking. That's what this beer is all about. Mr. Mike, what are your perceptions of this fine beer?
The aroma is definitely that of some tropical fruitiness. It's more of like just a soft, mushy fruit experience. Sort of like just really ripe pineapple. And, you know, it's just generic tropical, maybe like some peach orange type in there, you know. It's but it's mostly to me like pineapple tropical. The funny thing is I don't really ascribe these aromas or flavors to Simcoe certainly all that much, but this has been transformed by Cosmic Punch into something that's like super fruit forward with those hops. It's fascinating. And the flavor is the same. It's just got a really soft, fruity flavor profile. There's very little, you know, the way you hopped it, there's very little bitterness on the back end. And the malt bill, it's all singing together really well. Like, this reminds me of some of my favorite, just commercially available New England IPAs. It's just soft and fruity and no bitterness. And there's also very little, if any, of that raw hop bite.
Yes.
That's the key for me.
So to talk about that as well, again, day 3 of fermentation, after I settled and cleaned up some of the yeast mess that I had, you know, a strainer containment that goes on top of the wide mouth, and a very little, like 1 ounce or 28 grams each of both Comet and Simcoe, and I only let it sit in there for 3 days. So I was trying to get away from that hop bite issue as well that you've talked about.
Yeah.
So, you know, usually I'm like dry hopping at day 3, dry hopping at day 7. I'm just like pulling it out, putting it back in. But I said, let's go subtle on this, knowing that the yeast was going to bring out a lot of fruit flavors anyway. And I wanted to stay away from that bite. Yeah. And I'm glad you said that, because I'm like, I wonder what his take's going to be on this. I think the softness is a key component, and that's something I pulled out. I'm glad you pulled out pineapple, because when I was bringing this over in the little bottle I have here of it, that's the first note that I pulled off the aroma. Yep. And then, yeah, again, it comes through, not a lot of bitterness. I think there is a little bit of the Simcoe dankness to connect with the tropical fruit, the ripeness of it all, the mushy of it. But this is exactly what I think the Blue Comet experience was for me. Again, you know, I'm talking fall 2021, some restaurant in Braintree, Mass. You know, it's like mid-afternoon, we're eating, it's having a good time. But like, I remember like being hit by this, going like, wow, this is really great. And I looked up some, you know, beer review sites, and I found them to, you know, it was pretty underrated. But, you know, I really liked it, and I said, you know, interesting that it's only these 2 hops. I wonder if I could make this at home. And so this was my stab in the dark to try to do it all. And I think I'd have to have like a can of it right next to it, I guess, to like see if it's connected. The only thing I didn't know was the proportion of Comet and Simcoe. Yeah. I just pretty much said equally, except for that smidge of bitterness with Comet at the beginning. Do
you know if they use this yeast? Do they use this yeast in that? You have no idea?
That I don't know. That I don't know. So, cool. But this was kind of my security blanket. Like, well, I'll make sure that it's fruity if I use this Cosmic Punch Ale. So, yeah. Thumbs up on that too. If you on this particular yeast, I think it's a strong fermenter. Be careful on, you know, keep an eye on your fermenter if you got it going. So.
Well, it's fascinating because this yeast, I mean, I've been wanting to play with this one because this is a genetically modified version of their British ale yeast, which is driven to release those thiols from trapped trapped thiols, which are really your aroma, flavor generating molecules. So man, it really delivers on that aspect of it.
Cool.
Super cool.
Cool.
Super cool. Love it.
I think some people have asked us to try these kind of yeast, so hopefully we deliver. If you have any thoughts, comments, or questions, please leave them below this video. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel because we do this kind of thing every single week. For John and Mike, brew-juice.com, brew on.
Cheers.